is a clay dryer from the Luxilyan Valley in Cornwall, and it's not raining today, and that's unusual, so we thought we'd come out and we'll do a bit of a tour here. So if you have a look on your left there, this is a very, very, very large chimney. Now, this would draw your draft from your fireboxes, which we'll see in a minute at the other end, and that would feed the heating surface, which we'll also show you in a second. Right. So if we go in here, this is like the main leg of the building. Now there are little rooms off to the left, which have, for safety purposes, been railed off, and these are what would have been your settling tanks. Now what would have happened here is you would have pumped your clay, mixed with the water, having just come off out of the pits and being pumped up, because the way they get clay off is they blast it off the face with a hose called a monitor, and these hoses are stupidly powerful, and they're actually now computer controlled so that you don't end up hurting yourself. So yeah, that's all washed down and pumped into these settling tanks, and then what happens is the clay will sink to the bottom after a period of like a month, and then you drain your water off and you scoop your clay out, and if you look down here to the right now, what you get is you pump it onto this surface, which will be heated by the fireboxes, which we'll show you in a minute, and that evaporates all the water that's left in that bit of like silt and deposit at the bottom, and you end up with your powdered clay. Now in here to the left is what looks like the remains of a railway or something, and this is probably a transportation system along this and things, and that's been closed off with bats now. Yeah, so we can't take you anymore. Yeah, so that was all. So yeah, as I said, you'll be heated there, and then that's another slightly more overgrown settling tank. And another one. And in here is probably what was like a big storage tank, so that you could have a look for, that you can store your like deposits of clay, or even a bigger settling tank if you wanted to. But so this would be like a huge settling tank or a storage tank for like your slightly wet clay, and it will be stored in here. And if we go back out again, and if you look straight down ahead of you, that is your heating surface once again. So clay can literally just be pushed over the edge here, straight onto the heating surface to dry it out. So we carry on along here now. Down to the right here is where the fireboxes and things are, and that's where your fire would be fed, and then it would be, the heat from the fire would be drawn along by the chimney to heat all of that surface to dry the clay out on. So we're going to have a look at one of the fireboxes in a minute. And yeah, so these would be soaked up with coal or wood or something, and then the draft would suck the heat along, and then you'd end up with a heated surface, and then all the fumes would come out the chimney that we saw earlier. So you've got a control vent there at the top, which you can see, and that will control the draft for anything. Now if we carry on here, there's an arch here, and it's just, this would all be roofed, by the way, and the roof was obviously made out of wood and has collapsed and been cleared away. It will be roofed, but it's a nice place to work. You don't get rain on your head or anything. Yeah, so this is where it, if you see up there to the right, that's your heating surface up there that's controlled by the fire, and it will be pushed down onto this. You can see there that there's the I-beams that have been used are actually bits of railway tracks, which is somewhat interesting. And yeah, so it'll be pushed from the heating surface, which is up there, down off at that, and then onto this surface here, and then eventually it'll be pushed down into railway wagons or any other form of transportation device down here. And then that would be taken away to wherever it was relevant and used or sold or whatever. You can see a rather longer storage area here. If you have a look, we can't go in there, but look at that storage area there. That's another long one, and literally your heating surface up there on the right, and then you'd be pushed out through the hot gaps in the wall on your left there. Now, we'll go back down to the front here. I'll just show you how big this thing is proportionally. But yeah, as I said before, it would all have a big roof over it, and as I said, that probably was wooden and has collapsed, and the additional safety rails have been put here, and people can come and look around as and when they want, really. And it's in Luxilyan Valley, which is quite nice anyway. And there you go, so your wagons or whatever would go up here, and then stuff would be pushed off like that. And it is rather interesting to note that if you look on your left there, that thing with a white edge on it is actually a 2-foot gauge narrow gauge turntable, which would be used to turn presumably locomotives or wagons or something. We haven't actually found out what would have run on the railways up here yet, but presumably something, and they might have been what the clay was pushed into. So that's Luxilayn Clay dryer.
Ah, it's recording.